Hello, everybody, and welcome. This is Smart Gussie Vibes once again, and welcome to this video. And today we're going to be talking all things prop tech in relation to South African elections. Yep, I know. How I think 2024 elections in South Africa will impact the prop tech space. All right, so if you're interested in this type of content, stay along with me as we move along. Let's go. Let's go. Let's go. All right, so point number one, high interest rates, right? So this is going to be in the form of a rant, not really formatted discussion. I'm just going to be talking about the things that frustrate me about, prop tech currently and how electioneering is going to sort of try and change that. So currently, we are dealing with high interest rates in, the housing space. Residential areas are experiencing a weird shift. Just at the close of 2023, it was reported that there's been a 30% drop in the registering for new bonds. So whatever you call that. Yes, there's been a 30% drop in that. So it means that less people are acquiring property to buy. And there's also been a tight situation around selling properties. So most homeowners are finding it difficult to sell their properties at asking price, and they are falling, some of them 20 to 15% lower than their expected asking price. And so in some areas it's a buyer's market now. I know Cape Town, Gauteng are experiencing what we call a buyer's market, which means good luck for those of you who are planning to buy property in 2024. It's going to be good. But what we're seeing is also that the Reserve Bank is not planning to hike interest rates in 2024 because things are sort of stabilizing now. But will they reduce interest rates? Well, that will depend on what they're trying to achieve in terms of elections. So if they reduce the interest rates, it is possible that they're doing that to appease a certain people group who may sway the election in a particular way. Property has a lot to do with how, people are conscientized or conditioned to elect their new government. Think about it in this way. If you live in a community where you have no access to running water, no access to proper electricity, you have a situation where you don't have RDP housing, you are more inclined to elect a party that is promising or willing to do those things for you than not. So in a sense, if you have too many communities that are complaining about inadequate housing, you're going to have those communities electing or swaying the vote in favor of a party that wishes or that promises to deliver on that aspect. So the challenge there then is, how does PropTech feature? PropTech must then assess these trends and say, if we look at the voter portfolio that exists in these places, if we look at places like places that I've just described, and you realize that these people have inadequate resources and they have an inadequate access to government services. Service delivery is also an important factor, but I'll touch on that just now. The people that have an inadequate access to housing, proper housing, are going to sway the vote in a particular way. So as a prop tech person, you use that data, right? Use that data to assess how you can then engage with the businesses that are going to be involved in the tender process of building houses and stuff like that, so that you can see how you can optimize the scale at which they do the things that they said they would do. And you also get data on how you can solve some of the technological problems that come with, how these people can make money from their properties if they choose to make money from them. So it's a very interesting situation, because with the development of an entire extension, as it were, because we have these mushrooming places where there are RGP houses and they're called extensions. These mushrooming extensions would then force or necessitate the need for spaza shops to be developed. They would necessitate the need for, your local hairdressers, your local car washers, and certain businesses like that. That's where PropTech comes in, so that when the community is started, PropTech comes in with solutions already, so that the solutions don't fall behind the property development, but the solutions enter together with the property development, which means to say you create a smart Kasi as these things are developing. Right. So with Wi-Fi, for instance, if you're gonna create a random RDP extension, why not then get a proptech company that says, okay, we will put the infrastructure there for Wi-Fi. So that changes the game and how the opportunities for proptech can be enlarged, in a sense. So the 2024 elections are not necessarily going to directly impact proptech business, but they're going to help proptech to use that information to see what kind of opportunities exist post the elections, right? So in this sense, I believe proptech must be watching how people's hearts are feeling in certain areas. So I'll talk about service delivery. Service delivery is tough. I believe service delivery is tough because everyone can promise it. But delivery is a different story. So where proptech needs to go in is to say, whichever way the vote is swayed, and whoever is in power after the vote, comes into play, whether it be coalition government or a random party, proptech needs to come in and say, okay, what are you going to do about service delivery, and what kind of technological implements are you going to put in place so that the service delivery is not only a physical thing, right? How are you going to automate the trucks that go getting the things from the garbage from the people? How are you going to systematize that entire process so that from a click of one button, all these trucks can go to their desired locations? Or even the drivers, how do you optimize that the drivers be tuned up with technology such that their work is made lighter by the technology, so that the service delivery is easier in that way? That's just one aspect of it. I'm just talking in broad terms here, beloved. I'm not necessarily saying these are the things that should happen. These are just ideas of certain communities might appreciate if proptech comes in just after elections have been swayed one way or another, to say, look, we understand the government that you elected or that you would like to elect has promised you this type of service delivery. As proptech, we would like to optimize that service delivery and work together with you to ensure that this actually happens at a more efficient rate or pace. So this is something that, I don't know, it keeps me up at night a bit sometimes. And while I'm still on this rant, I believe because the voting system has already been digified in a way, the voting registration process has already been digified or digitized. I'm saying digified or digitized, right? So voting is almost digital. We can get a lot of data from that, because what we then get from that is a whole lot of demographics that tell us how people feel, right? So we get data on, number one, voter turnout. We get data on a lot of things. And what proptech can do is quite significant. During the voting season, especially in your township communities and rural areas, just look at where these people come from. So when they go to their nearest polling station, just look at the conditions of where they come from, and that'll give you an idea of how the vote might go. What you do with that data of the people, South Africa is clued up. They could give that data to business and say, hey, this is the data we've collected from the people that have decided to vote. Do with this data as you please. Well, or we'll sell this data to you if you want to use it in some type of way. Then you go into that data and say, okay, these are the people that need alternative energy generation on a regular. These are the people that need their businesses to flourish in a certain way. And this then creates a government business partnership where you can then start procuring proptech tenders, which is where I really want us to go. Because if proptech is just kept at private business level, I don't think it can go as far as doing the things that it needs to do. So whatever government comes in, I'm really hoping they're thinking about how to collaborate with business to create proper, prop tech tendering systems in a way that is not corrupt, number one, and in a way that benefits, the poor middle class. Yeah, the rich were fine. I say we because I'm looking futuristically, but yeah, don't worry about that. This is a rant. Okay, leave me alone. What else did I want to talk about? Right. So yes. One other thing. Remember, I talked about the interest rates. With hiked interest rates and people having less affinity to buy property because the bond registration turnout is very low, like 30% lower. What we need then to do as PropTech is to come in with alternative funding models, which we've already started doing, but government then needs to sort of give us, the how do we put it? They need to give us a platform to relieve us of the burden of bureaucracy in that aspect so that we can create alternative models so that when whoever comes into power, infrastructure development is booming. Whoever comes into power can find a situation where people are investing in a whole lot of property because of alternative funding models. One thing I want to see after elections is a boom in the infrastructure space. This is just a desire. I want to see a serious boom in the infrastructure space. There are many capital cities of provinces that still don't have quality skyscrapers. I don't like that. I want there to be a boom, and this can only happen if the vote is swayed to people who understand, how economies should develop. If you develop the infrastructure and you give businesses the support they need to develop infrastructure in such a way that it's sustainable and it's job creating and it's business creating, you go really far. What happened in South Africa is quite sad, and this is just me talking from the heart, is that government stopped with infrastructure expenditure at some point and said they're not going to invest in infrastructure projects themselves, but they're going to just tender them out to private business, and they put the onus of infrastructure development solely on private business a few years ago. This is discouraging because what happens then is that the economies can't grow without government concerted effort infrastructure development projects. So if government doesn't have its own infrastructure development projects that are not corrupt, that are futuristic, and that are on some Dubai level type situation, then why should we elect you to govern us? So this is something that I wish whoever hears this, man. Like, I don't care really, but whoever hears this and really puts this into motion. Because what happens after infrastructure development booms, this is what's going to happen. The proptech space is going to boom at the same time. And what's going to happen then is that you have a powerful fintech system, which was really born here. And Africans know how to, make their systems efficient because we have, first ideas. We generate these ideas quite quickly. You'll see a proper boom in the proptech space as well. And these two are going to work hand in hand to accelerate the growth of that infrastructure development, because what you then need is to grow the infrastructure space in a green and efficient way as well. Smart housing is going to become a theme of the day, and people will then have more access to investment opportunities through proptech. So it'll really emancipate us from the struggles of people saying, oh, the interest rates are high. No, we bought houses during COVID-19 when the interest rates were low, and now they're high. Now they're killing us. Now we need to sell off our properties, but now we can't even sell them at the asking price. All those issues can be resolved if a government in 2024 is elected to develop infrastructure. But it's not going to happen. Why? They're not going to find money to do so. I'll tell you why. Look, this is just my mind. Don't worry about what I'm saying. You're not going to find enough money to do so. That's because whoever is new that comes into power, the old ones, we know they're not going to do anything. Whoever is new that comes into power won't find plans in place for infrastructure development. So they'll have to create their own. That's number one. Number two, they are not going to find enough cash flow to do those infrastructure projects as government, to increase the attractiveness of the country to investors. They're going to find a situation where they have to deal with debt before they start generating income for the country. And that's going to it's going to take some time. But I have my hopes. My heart is in the right place, especially for the proptech space. And I hope that whoever comes in flexibilizes the laws as well. Yeah, because the bureaucracy around deeds and the purchasing and selling of houses is a bit too much. There needs to be some ease of transactionality there, where you can, wake up and, put in a bid to buy a house and you literally move in the next day, that type of thing. So those are the types of things that I want to see from after the elections. I don't know if I'm speaking sense, guys. I don't know if I'm, providing a proper forecast here. But I hope you've learned what you've learned. This is why I'm in black. I'm not mourning. Just careful not to demonstrate any obvious colors, so that no one gets excited about who's gonna run their country. But yeah, hey guys, keep praying for this country if you pray. Do Ramadans if you need to, fast, whatever the case may be, and pray for the prosperity of this country in the proptech space. So if you've enjoyed this rant so far, hey, I don't know what I was saying, but I was saying quite a lot. I hope you've got something of value from what I've said. And yeah, if you're interested in this type of content and you'd like me to do more of these where I just, blurt out my thoughts, do let me know and share this video with someone you like or love. Consider subscribing if you've reached to the end of this video, because I'd really, really appreciate it, because I need to start, leveling up, getting, sponsors, brands, whatever the case may be. So you'll help me. You are going to help me. All right. Cheers.